Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I think this is going to be a real interesting video. Just a day or so ago, I saw some comments on my YouTube channel from a guy that told me he was Mike Naylor's cousin. Mike Naylor was is a late Midland County Sheriff's deputy. You can see him right here. Here's a picture of him. Okay, and he died in the line of duty in 2014, October 9th, 2014. Supposedly, that's the official story. Okay. But the surprising part, and what the reason I decided to make this video, is because I figured out while talking to his cousin that his family was never told the whole truth. And so excuse me, I believe that was intentional, and these facts have also been kept from the public. And so that's what, I explained that to his cousin, the facts of this case, and I haven't heard back from him, and I'm going to read that to you here in a minute. What I'm going to show you here, minutes after I had, been ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going off in my attic. My phone lines were cut, forced me to crawl out. I crawled out and left. I got the video on that. I show that many times. Well, just a few minutes after that, the first two police are seen arriving here on a video. Okay, that's a screenshot of a video there that's been posted many times. It's time-stamped at 11:01. So at 11:01, the first two secret police, we'll call them former secret police, arrived. Okay, they were secret for 6 years. I didn't know it. I had their video showing up at my house minutes after a capital home invasion, premeditated capital murder attempt. Absolute proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun, so somebody came to my home and shot me. That's a very dangerous criminal. I think we can all agree to that. I'm home minding my own business. Some criminal comes, breaks in your home, shoots you by surprise. That's a killer, is what that is. That's a cold-blooded killer, okay? We just don't know who that cold-blooded killer is. And minutes after that, the first two secret police show up, and I don't know who they are. This should have been national news a long time ago, Well, a year or so later, I recognized that they were wearing tan uniforms, okay? And then that had me questioning, was it Mike Naylor? Because Mike Naylor died in the line of duty in 2014, and that was 2 years, almost 3 years after, 2.5 years later, okay? That Mike Naylor died in the line of duty, okay? And so then the question was being asked, was Naylor here at my house, And so that's what I'm going to go over here. That's what this is an old Facebook post right here, because now we know who this is, okay? They were identified by the private investigator in 2018 as the first one to show up was Martin County Sheriff John Woodward. This is Midland County. That's never been explained. Followed by the late Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor, okay? And so the question's been asked a long time, is Mike Naylor a good guy? Is he a good cop, or is he a dirty cop that was involved in the capital murder attempt on my life? Home invasion, premeditated. Like I said, I'm shot by surprise in my home. I'm home minding my own business. So, what we can, like I said, what we can agree on is whoever shot me is a cold-blooded killer. I think we can all agree to that, because I'm home minding my own business. They sneaked in, shot me by surprise. That's not an accident. That takes premeditation. Okay, so here's the messages, and I think I'll show you here just real quick. These are my newer videos. This is real recent, 5 days ago, calling for life, the 911 call. And that shows me crawling out, and I took the 911 call from the 7-Eleven and I laid it on top of that. That's what that video is there. And it's real short and impacting. But anyway, here's the message from Lancelot Naylor 1 day ago. And that's what I'm making this video about. And what he said here, he says, "Are you even aware what happened to Sergeant Michael Joe Naylor? Deputies then broke out a window of the home to make visual and verbal contact with the man, but he still refused to come out. As Sergeant Naylor and the man continued to speak, the man suddenly fired a shot, striking the officer in the head. Other deputies were able to pull Sergeant Naylor away from the home and transported him to the waiting ambulance. He was taken to the Midland Memorial Hospital, where he later succumbed to his wound. He died. This man was servant until the day he died. Why would a man like that have any evil intentions towards you?" Okay, I just saw this on my Facebook from the cousin Mike Naylor, okay? And I immediately recognized that he wasn't told all the facts of the story, okay? Evidently the only thing that the cousin or the family must know is what was in the paper. And we know, or what was in the news, and we know what the news does. The news has been hiding evidence and proof and facts and covering up crimes here. I mean, just over and over and over, and including in this. And it's a big deal. We're talking about a law enforcement officer that dies in the line of duty. That's not a small thing, okay? And so here, I just read you what he wrote to me. I copied and pasted it over to my Facebook, and that's what he wrote there. And I replied right back, okay? And this is a day ago. And this is long, but follow with this, and it's going to make sense. Because this is what the family didn't know. They have been deceiving the families what it looks like. In case you're not aware of the facts, I'm speaking now. On January 28, 2012, I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with my phone lines cut. Okay, now we got absolute proof I wasn't shot with my gun. Multiple people documented saying reporting people in the attic. Multiple people documented saying underground homes and tunnels are here. Okay, I mean, you can't argue that. God saved my life as I crawled down on my hands and knees to survive this premeditated capital attempted murder. Like I said, nobody accidentally breaks in a home, accidentally shoots the owner. And the person shot me, I didn't even know they were there. They were not in any danger. It was just cold-blooded murder is what it's going to be, and God saved my life. Absolute proof shows that I wasn't shot with my gun, and the top suspects for the shooter or would-be killers are now a group of former secret police. And I got lots of evidence on that. 19 minutes after I left, the first two secret police were seen arriving at my home on my security cameras, but they were not identified until 6 years later in 2018. Let that sink in. That is not a small comment. It was secret police. They're illegal. You can't do that. That's what's going on here, is just bold in your face, crime by people that are supposed to be upholding the law. And that only happened because I saved up disability money and offered a $2,000 reward to anybody that could identify the secret police. And that was done while I was living under the threat of death with crimes being committed against me. There was 11 of them that had been caught on camera, secret police. Okay, it's now known that the first law enforcement officer at my home was former Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, who's now a convicted felon. And Woodward was followed by the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor. Keep in mind, they were secret for 6 years with a reward offered to anybody that could identify them. And Naylor is this guy's cousin. In 2019, it was found out there was a police report for this night which had been illegally withheld. It showed that Woodward and Naylor were not dispatched to my home, and their names had been omitted from the report, along with 4 other former secret police. 6 out of 11 law enforcement officers caught on camera, were secret for 6 years, and their names were not even on the police report. It was intentionally omitted, which is another felony, falsification of government records. In 2019, it was found out there was a police report for this night which had been illegally withheld. It showed that Woodward and Naylor were not dispatched. I just read that. As you mentioned, the story which was in the news is that Naylor was shot and killed in 2014 while serving a warrant. That's what he explained to me. The public was never told this hero, in quotation marks, was one of the secret police that was connected to the home invasion and premeditated capital murder attempt on my life. He remained secret for 4 more years after his death. Okay, see, I didn't have confirmation that Naylor was one of the secret police till 4 years after he died in the line of duty. Okay, family was never told that. As you mentioned, the story which was in the news that Naylor was shot and killed in 2014 while serving a warrant. The public was never told this hero was one of the secret police connected. I'm reading it again, losing my place while I'm talking. The question has been asked if Naylor was going to snitch on the other secret police, as many people said that he was a good guy. Talking about Naylor. Obviously, he had information about the $1 million underground homes here, which were hosting the oil show parties and connected to the murder of the young girl at the 2010 oil show party that Angie told me about, and the suspected murder of the previous owner of a home who died the week before the 2008 oil show started. That was Mike Lawhon. This has some people wondering if Naylor was silenced or murdered by some of the other police, and it was then blamed on Higgins, the guy that they were serving the warrant to. It would have been his word against a group of police, and my case has shown a group of police have been lying. They have conspired together and lie about violent crimes, okay? That's what's gone, and that's no doubt about it. That's what's gone on. I'm ambushed and shot inside my home. Interestingly, Naylor isn't the only secret police that is now dead, okay? It gets real interesting. Because 2 months after Naylor died, Midland Canine Police Officer Chad Simpson was alleged to have murdered his wife and killed himself. Once again, the public was never told that there was a reward offered for his identity and for the secret police, which would be Simpson and Naylor. And when he died in the alleged murder-suicide, and once again his name was omitted from the long-withheld police report. He wasn't dispatched to my home, but he was seen and identified here, okay? As I said, that's a felony. They intentionally falsified the report. Many people thought Chad was a good guy. Once again, just like Naylor, and the same question had been asked if he was going to snitch on the other secret police, and he was silenced, okay? And so then we could possibly have cop killers here, and that is a big deal. And to make it worse, it might be cop killers that are cops, because they're involved in this racketeering. 2 of the 11 secret police caught on camera are now dead, and neither of their names were on the illegally withheld police report. I had to pay to get them identified. This stinks to high heaven. I think we can all agree to that, right? Interestingly, the long withheld police report time-stamped Lieutenant Dickey inside my home at 11:05, just 4 minutes after Woodward Naylor were seen in front of my home. 4 minutes. But Dickey was not seen arriving. All of my other doors were secured with extra locks, which told me that Dickey came into my home from a now-removed trapdoor entrance that the ex-wife had told me about and from where I had been ambushed and shot. This report also placed Davis, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale at my home, and they were not seen arriving either. This means they were under my home, and it was somebody under my home that shot me, okay? And so that's why these police are based on evidence found, the top suspects for the would-be killers that are sneaking into private homes and shooting unsuspecting homeowners to steal their property. Other evidence shows that a burglar was trapped in my bathroom at the time, and I believe those police were working with the burglars that I had been reporting to them. So when I trapped one of them, they decided to try and kill me, which would have given my very special home with its $1 million underground home in the backyard to the lifelong friend, the MP detective Rosie Rodriguez, another one of the secret police. The ex-wife is alleged to be involved in the shooting by her former boyfriend, Arthur Welch. And what I'm saying is Rodriguez, come to find out, was lifelong friends with ex-wife I'd filed divorce on 5 days earlier, who is alleged to be involved in the shooting. Okay, she was going to get this house when Rosie ruled my murder an accident, plus an extra $500,000. What is going on here is unprecedented lawlessness. And if it was police that tried to murder me, then it makes sense they also murdered Mike Lawn, the guy that lived here before me. He died the week before the 2008 oil show started. And then we have the young girl that was murdered at the 2010 oil show party that Angie told me about when she refused to prostitute. My friend that was at that party was afraid to report that murder and told me that high-level police were there at the party. A recent candidate for sheriff, Joe Lozano, was recorded last year saying that the underground homes was the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. It's possible that Painter and most of the other secret police were under my home when I trapped the burglar, okay? If you have questions about the facts of these capital crimes, then I will discuss it with you. But if you get rude and try to cover them up with bullshit, I'll document and block you, Buddy Webb, okay? And now I'm talking to the family member of Mike Naylor, okay? And so, but we're going to go on. He replies, Lancelot Naylor, okay? He says, "Dear buddy, Michael was my cousin. We all loved him very much and have never heard anything about secret police. He loved his job and wanted nothing more but to help people. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, and I definitely don't want you to block me because I checked in semi-regularly. It's just when I heard his name brought into this, I felt like he shouldn't be a part of this at all." And so, okay, that's when I found out that Lancelot Naylor was related to Mike Naylor, and he was very nice, and said, "Hey, this is my family member died." I mean, I'm sensitive to that, and and here's my reply. I said, "I'm sincerely sorry for your loss," and I am, and I hope that you want the truth to come out as much as I do. I was told that Mike's widow was from Hobbs, New Mexico, which is my hometown. This seems to have a big connection to the crimes here. He was buried in Hobbs, I believe. I wondered if she had information about Mike's death, which others don't know about, since we now know that Mike Naylor was the secret police at my home minutes after I'd been ambushed and shot without being dispatched. And obviously the cousin wasn't told that fact. Chad and Sandra Simpson were also from Hobbs, my hometown. I had noticed that many people from Hobbs seemed to share a big secret about the crimes against me, which I'm not privy to. A big part of this story is the secret police, which are highly illegal. Many times I said this was the first secret police since Nazi Germany, but not a news story in the nation. The Gestapo was the secret police of Nazi Germany, involved in millions of murders. Of course, they never planned on getting caught. The secret police didn't, and the evidence shows they tried to cover their tracks. My front security cameras were successfully disabled at 11:22, and it's assumed this was done by Woodward and Naylor since they were seen arriving at 11:01 p.m. The ex-wife had told me in so many words that a lot of people were here when I was shot, which obviously means in the underground home in the backyard. That's where it's believed they were having parties. I suspect this is where Woodward, Naylor, and most of the other secret police was at when I trapped that burglar in my bathroom. It would explain why Woodward and Naylor showed up 19 minutes after I was shot, okay? As I trapped that burglar in the bathroom. At 3:15 a.m., an attempt was made to disable the camera in my bedroom. That's later that night after I crawled out and left. But when they rebooted my computer, they unknowingly started it working. I recently made a video showing the log files which prove this, that they attempted to cover their trucks. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They tried to hide it. Those pictures was the only reason it was found out they were in my home and staging the crime scene, as they were also illegally withholding the police report for this night. Now remember, this is a violent crime, home invasion, premeditated, capital attempted murder, violent criminals. We already agreed to that, right? On October 31st, 2016, I made a video called Midland, Texas Secret Police, posted to YouTube. This is my number 3 most watched video and has had 26,000 views. It contains the pictures of the secret police. I posted the same video on Facebook and it had more views than that. Tens of thousands of people all over the world had seen or heard about the Midland Secret Police before they were identified by Empire Private Investigations in 2018. That's when we found out Woodward was one of the secret police, or Naylor. I made many videos over the years about Woodward, Naylor, and the other secret police. I think it's very possible that one of them was the shooter, also known as the would-be killer, and they tried to justify this violent crime due to the burglar being trapped, which they had been working with. I had been reporting repeated burglaries to my house. I believe these corrupt police are involved and are working with this crime ring that's rigging private homes all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states such as mine, and it looks like if they get caught, the burglars, then they murder the homeowners. That's what it looks like, and possibly for-profit murders to steal property. Keep in mind that I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off, and now homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and many other states are documented reporting these same crimes. This is much bigger than Midland, but that trap burglar was going to expose all of it. That would be the 4 underground homes here, the oil show parties, the murder of the young girl at the 2010 oil show party, which had police there, the suspected murder of the previous owner of my home the week before the 2008 oil show started, and many other homes across the nation rigged like this one. In fact, I now believe that my home in Hobbs was rigged, and I didn't know it all the time I lived there. That home was built by my former in-laws. I have a video called Freaking Attic that tells that story. We don't want to forget that Naylor was working with Sheriff Painter and working for Sheriff Painter. And last year, during the election for sheriff, which Kreiner won, I was talking to candidate Joe Lozano, who told me those underground homes was the hideout for Painter. I was secretly recording him and made this into a YouTube video, which is my number 5 most watched video. It's called Sheriff Painter's Hideout. Remember, that is Naylor's boss. That's what the public hasn't been told. It's been hidden from the public. And I put a link to these videos backing up everything that I told the cousin of Mike Naylor, ambushed in my home here. And that shows the pictures from security camera of me crawling out, Woodward and Naylor showing up. Midland, Texas Secret Police. here, and that was the old video. That was before they were identified, and it was made in 2016, and they weren't even identified until 2018. And pictures of the secret police. It's a more recent video, and that goes over each of the pictures. Remember, they tried to disable the camera. They got caught. You can see Rodriguez planting my stolen cell phone behind my nightstand. They're stealing evidence, and nobody was ever supposed to find out they were here because they were covering up hiding the police report. Freaking attic. That's about the Hobbs home, and it's named that for a reason because of the ex-wife over there. Said, I didn't get in the freaking attic, and she didn't get in the freaking attic. That means somebody else got in the freaking attic because my daughter's the one that saw a light on in the attic, and nobody had been up there, and it sure wasn't on the week before. I think that Hobbs home was rigged, and I got a feeling them ex-in-laws of mine know something about it. Sheriff Painter's hideout. And this is the one, this was a secretly recorded message with Joe Lozano during the election for sheriff, hidden by the press. That should have been a huge news story. They should have got awards over this news story of Lozano saying Painter used to hang out in these underground homes here that are connected to multiple murders. Big, huge story. I put some links in here. I said, after being ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, I was seen crawling out of my home at 10:42 p.m. 19 minutes later, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, Midland County Deputy Mike Naylor were seen arriving. At 11:22, my front cameras were successfully disabled without anybody seen arriving. However, the long-withheld police report for this night, timestamp MPD Dickey inside my home 4 minutes after Woodward and Naylor were seen, and he wasn't seen arriving. This meant that he came into my home via the now-removed trapdoor. Actually, I suspect it was Dickey that let out the trap burglar. Okay, and this is a video that's going to show the security camera videos of Naylor showing up, because remember, his cousin was like, I've never heard of my cousin being a secret police. It's like, don't you think that's a big factor in his death? There I am. Look at my headlights. Oh, they went off, right? Somebody's sitting in the car, waiting for me to die so they could let the trap burglar out. I'm not going to read that to you. I'll let you read it. What's saying here, though, obviously, Woodward and Naylor were in the underground home when I was shot. They were under my home, and then when I shot, they come around, got in the car, and drove around. And this is showing them, that's what I saw when I survived the murder attempt and arrived, got back from the hospital, now crippled for life, never worked again. I've had my life destroyed. I've had so many death threats and break-ins to my house, and since surviving, the only thing I did was spend my life savings on the American dream, a home, and report crimes to corrupt police that were involved in committing crimes. One of them is this guy's cousin. It's Mike Naylor that died in the line of duty. And that's the whole point of putting that little clip in there. This is really important. The police report for this night was illegally withheld for 7 years, and the reason is easy to see because it proved the police were under my home. That's why I suspect they are the shooters, okay? And so on the left-hand side is the screenshot of what I just showed you. Timestamp Woodward and Naylor being at my home at 11:01. And on the right-hand side was the police report that I didn't get till 7 years later that timestamped Lieutenant Dickey inside my home 4 minutes after they got here, and he wasn't seen arriving. That's how I know he come up from the underground trap door where I had been shot from. That's why I suspect he's the one who let the burglar out, and he might have been the one that shot me. I figure one of them secret police is the would-be killer, okay? And their excuse was tried to excuse it because they were working with the burglars breaking into homes, stealing, okay? It's racketeering what it is. 6 of 11 secret police caught on camera and then later identified by the PI had their names omitted from the police report. That is a crime in itself. But both Naylor and Simpson's names were missing from the police report, and now they're dead. I wondered if they were going to snitch on the others. That's what I was saying, And maybe Naylor was actually a hero, right? I mean, he's a hero in that he was going to snitch on them others. And snitching on other corrupt law enforcement is very dangerous because they carry guns around and they can steal evidence and lie in police reports and cover up murders. We saw that here, right? And, and I think, it makes sense they were involved in the murder of Mike Law, the previous owner, and maybe the young girl wasn't prostitute, There was one guy named, and I got a print screen of this, Shannon Jeter. He says, buddy, Cops can kill you and get away with it. You need to quit publicizing their business and go buy you another home. Okay, you see, they're trying to terrorize me from my home, or I'll be murdered. That's always a move or be murdered, right? That's what it is. But he's telling me it's cops, And what was their business? I'm thinking it was pimping out little girls, and the ones that don't want to be pimped out, they just murder. I mean, I'm just trying to put it all together, because this right here is what the press is hiding from the public. Is they're hiding it from the family of Mike Naylor that died supposedly in the line of duty. Maybe some other secret police took him out because they didn't want him to snitch on them. They didn't want to get the underground homes and parties made public. Okay, and so here's my last post here. It says, here's a what if. What if good guy Mike Naylor, I was told he was a good guy, was going to report what happened at my home, which he knew about, of course. He was here. I'm sure the others wouldn't want that to happen, since we're talking about capital murders, organized crime, and racketeering. That makes sense. Maybe they conspired to kill Mike and blame Higgins, okay, who they were arresting for child sex crimes anyway. With the cop dead and all the other law there pointing the finger at Higgins, he would get the death penalty. What if he falsely confessed to save his life? Either way, somebody has some questions to answer. We have a young girl's remains found outside of Midland, believed to have been murdered in the underground homes at the 2010 oil show party. And I put a link to a news story, which I thought was interesting, and it shows report gun that killed Naylor was reported stolen. I thought that was interesting because, that's what corrupt police use. They use a drop gun, right? A gun that killed Naylor was reportedly stolen, right? And so I don't have any proof that these officers out there with Naylor killed Naylor and then blamed Higgins, okay? I'm just saying this whole thing stinks because we know Naylor was one of the secret police I had to pay to get identified, and my case is a capital attempted murder case believed to be connected to multiple other capital murder cases, okay? And that's what I'm explaining to the family member of Mike Naylor. Now, the first person to arrive, that's on this one, was John Woodward, Martin County Sheriff. I said that. That's amazing. That's another headline news story. Martin County Sheriff shows up, to my home minutes after I survived a home invasion murder attempt, right? And this is Midland County. What's a sheriff from another county doing at my home minutes after a premeditated capital attempted murder? Maybe he was the shooter. Maybe he was under my house, and then as soon as they shot me, he drove around and got there 19 minutes later. He wasn't identified once again. His name's not on the police report once again, okay? And this is another Facebook post. This is a news story about former Martin County Sheriff John Woodward, who was identified by my private investigator as the first law enforcement officer seen arriving at my home minutes after I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home with burglar alarms going off in the attic. He was one of the 11 secret police that I paid to get identified, and even though I had him on my security cameras, he remained secret for 6 years, along with Naylor. Woodward was followed by the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor, who died in the line of duty in 2014, supposedly. This is Midland County, so it's never been explained how that worked, but it makes sense that he was in the underground home in the backyard when I was shot. He is one of my suspects for the shooter, aka would-be killer. Okay, and this is from the news story that I posted here. The Odessa American reported, "We got a call from the dispatcher saying Sheriff John Woodward is up in his office hammered drunk, and he's got an inmate with him." A former Martin County Sheriff's deputy said. It was 8 p.m., March 27, 2013. Okay, that's a year after I had survived the home invasion murder attempt. When the former deputy said he received the call from dispatch, he spoke on condition of anonymity. Now, a year and a half later, one deputy was fired, another was forced out, and no charges have been filed against the sheriff, who's been accused of supplying an inmate with alcohol while having the inmate give him a tattoo. Accusations that could be charged as a third-degree felony. The story is coming out as news has become public that Woodward has not been in office for several weeks and intends to resign. Okay, and so this is interesting. It I guess goes to character of Woodward. Okay. That tattoo that Woodward got was a Santa Muerta, which is Our Lady of the Holy Death. This is not a saint recognized by the Catholic Church, and it's been made famous by cult members and drug dealers. That was the tattoo he got while drunk when he checked out an inmate, was getting drunk with an inmate, okay? And then who gets run off? The people that reported him. That's who lost their job, you know? It's the good old boy thing, you know? It's what it sounded like to me, okay? And then I went on here. This is more stuff about Naylor, and it's showing them arriving minutes after I had there they are. That's when Woodward and Naylor arrived. And this last story, and I'm going to close this out. I think this is interesting, probably important, connected to all of it. Okay, about a year after I'd survived the murder attempt, News West 9 was reporting that the police were looking for a guy named Eric Perez for capital attempted murder. Okay, because of the charges, I thought maybe this was the guy that had tried to murder me in my home. While trying to arrest him, Eric shot at Martin County deputies, but got away. Now remember, that's on Martin County. That's over there where John Woodward is. This is where John Woodward was sheriff at. After Eric was arrested, the charges mysteriously disappeared. Never heard about him again. Of course, the press didn't ask the questions. As you'll see in this video, it looks like a reporter for News West 9 deleted a published news story about Eric Perez, and come to find out she was married to John Woodward. That's Devin Sanchez, okay? Last I heard, Devin was the communication director for the city of Odessa. I'm not surprised that she gets some big promotion for that. I've long suspected people who work for News West 9 had information about the underground homes here, which are believed to be connected with multiple capital murders, along with the murder attempt on my life. There has been many news stories which I felt like they've hidden from the public concerning the crimes here, and that's what this video shows evidence. I actually went up to News West 9 and I wanted to get copies of their news story where they were talking about Eric Perez wanted for capital attempted murder, and the woman down there, the representative for News West 9, was telling me how all the records got deleted from 2014, and I thought, ain't that amazing? 2014, 2015, that's the same time that Naylor dies, Simpson dies. It's the same time when that live tree was taken out next to suspected tunnel entrance behind my home. It's the same time that underground coax cable was disconnected. It's the same time that the city mysteriously accidentally deleted all records for underground facilities in the city of Midland. All happened in 2014. Same time News West 9 happened to lose all of their old news stories, and I'm trying to get, I'm looking at this in an investigation for capital crimes. Anyways, that, I didn't want to get too much further in that, but I want to talk about John Woodward, who Naylor followed, and then asking the question, I wonder what the widow knows. Was she told that Naylor was a secret police in my home, and that he had a reward offered for his identity for 6 years? His cousin didn't know. And once again, this should be headline news. Our press does such a disservice to us, and while we're being hunted inside our homes. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.